Welcome to the iSoftpull Main Course Podcast, where we get straight to the point, the meat and potatoes. Now let's dig in.
Welcome to the Main Course Podcast at iSoftpull, Episode 5, with Franci Bačar of Goodish Agency. Franci is an expert in all things digital media, from CRMs to chat, analytics, Facebook ads, and everything. And so today we're going to talk about how all these integrations play with each other and the importance of having all of your software talk to each other, irrespective if you do digital marketing or you get referrals or wherever you're getting your business from and your business model. It's still important to have all your software talk to each other. And so we're going to dive into some of these topics and talk about how they communicate with each other. So, Franci, what's going on, man?
Hey, thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, I'm fine, and I think this will be a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, so we were talking just before the start of the podcast about how the landscape has changed over the last 5 years, even 2 years, even maybe 1 year. We've had these iOS updates which are preventing cookies and tracking. And just tell me broadly from your experience, what you see the most recent changes.
So regarding the marketing, I think users, we people as users are more aware of our data and how this data can be maybe used against us. And this is why also the big corporations are now talking about the privacy. And that is making the user tracking in general more, let's say, heavier. So let's say 5 years ago, pretty much everything was open, and it was very easy for us to get a user journey from first touch to the deal, all the data at one place, and then we could, for example, send emails based on user actions and so on. Now all of those so-called third-party cookies are prevented, especially on Apple devices, or a lot of users would use browsers like Tor or instead of Google, they would use DuckDuckGo and those technologies. So we are no longer able to see how they are moving through devices or through platforms, and that's make it harder to observe and analyze user. And so this is then, let's say, that's because then other solutions are popping out, like self-hosted analytics systems like Post-Hoc or Mixpanel. And yeah, so a lot of different technologies trying to get around those, let's say, blocking parts.
Yeah, so I remember that was happening. I mean, let's unpack that a little bit. I remember maybe a couple years ago, Mark Zuckerberg was sitting in front of Congress, and Congress asked him, "Will you tell us what hotel you're staying at right now?" And Mark Zuckerberg was like, "No," right? But daily, we're checking in on Facebook and we're telling where people are. And I think that people are becoming more aware of that the more information that we give out there, the more people, we're giving up our privacy, right? And Apple, to kind of combat that privacy issue, blocked cookies on their phones, right? So it's we almost lost half of the market on being able to track if people are using iOS. So it really affected digital marketing. But I want to kind of broaden this conversation and not just talk about digital marketing. I want to talk about, you have these CRMs and loan operating systems. You have chat applications, analytics. I mean, Calendly, scheduling. Like, there's all these different apps that different companies are using. And it's important for all of them to talk to each other. And I know you know this because every week I'm calling you saying, "Hey, we need to integrate this." Or "This is already updated, but we need to update it again because we changed a little nuance in our flow." So talk to me about why you think integrations are important and how companies maybe are doing that or getting better at integrating.
I think the holy grail here is how to scale your company. And if you want to scale the company, you need a process that can be repeated. And if possible, you want to get out all human touch. I mean, not like you want to sound as a human, but if you want to scale things, if you want to have hundreds or thousands of clients, you can't afford that you call each of the client, right? So that's why you bring in all of those services when you can basically automate stuff. And if this was the case for just for the big companies 10 years ago, now with different tools, almost and everyone, so even small businesses can completely automate user journey. Uh, so I think the approach here is let's say that you are a one-man band and you start gaining in clients and you do everything on your own. Then you have 5 more guys, so one in the call center, maybe one for ads, and so on and so on. And maybe a few years later, you want to attract a large number of companies, and now each of those small pieces, which used to be done by human, has to be done by some automated program. And this is how you get different solutions in. So like chat or sales IQ or similar solution. So it's a bot that can lead conversation at least partly, so that you don't need to type, or Calendly for scheduling meetings, so you don't need someone to call you and to book you and so on. Everything can be automated. Similar email systems, so that you can deliver important informations to user at certain points. So when they have a question or when they're interested in certain topic, you can send them a proper email. So I think that's the basic idea. So you are replacing the puzzles that used to be done by humans with the tools. And when you do this, you can quickly attract in large number of customers, because you are basically getting rid of small bottlenecks.
Yeah, I think that's important not just for companies that want to scale and get thousands of customers, but let's just assume somebody is in the solar business or a loan officer and their business model isn't in lots of transactions, like hundreds or thousands of transactions. It might just be 40 transactions a month, but each transaction requires multiple steps. So you still want to automate and get efficient in these steps, right? Because right now, maybe you only have 2 employees or you have a small group. But in order to go from doing 10 deals a month to doing 50 deals a month without hiring more people and having the more cost of capital, you just automate it, right? So a good example of that is a quick autoresponder. When a lead comes in, they get a quick autoresponder that it looks like it's coming from a human. It looks like it's coming from John, but the way it's written or the way it's actually sent is automated, you know? So I guess my question to you is, do you see that these efficiencies in integrating different platforms are just as important for big companies that want to do thousands of transactions as they are for smaller companies, but maybe want to double or triple their sales?
So I think the basic is for everyone who would like to grow. Because as you mentioned, so you can focus on important stuff and you can automate repeating jobs. Like, for example, support tickets. A lot of times people would have the same questions or the same issues. So if you automate autoresponders, as you mentioned, you can eliminate, like, let's say 20 minutes of your work per day. Similar, for example, lead qualification. If you add a lead qualification process, few questions, you can then just focus on let's say top leads, or on the niche or on the segment of your top clients, and then attract more of those. And again, you gain 15-20 minutes. And if you gain 20 minutes on on questions, so on support tickets, and 20 minutes on, I don't know, calls you don't need to have because someone scheduled your meeting on Calendly and so on. You can gain hour or 2 hours per day of your time that can be focused on delivering value. And this is how you, even as a solo entrepreneur or as a small business, you can focus on your energy on the aspects of your business where you can bring in most of the value. And that's how you should think about your business. So what are the things you as an owner or as a human should do, and which of things can be automated?
Yeah, I didn't really consider it like that. Originally, I started the discussion talking about integrations, right? And just thinking like holistically in a business, integrations. But the whole point of the integrations is the automation, right? So when the lead comes in on your website, let's say I almost said WordPress. I was probably dating myself there. But now people are using Webflow or Wix or all these website builders. You used to have to build a website yourself. Right now, anybody can build a website, right? And how is that website integrated to, let's say, your CRM, right? And if you have a website form on your website, you might also have a chat on your website. So if somebody is chatting you and they're submitting information on your website, how does that data get to your CRM? Through an integration, right? But what you're talking about is automating that. And that's really what the integration does, is automate that connection.
I think when you integrate all the things together, what you're searching for is so-called single source of truth. Because let's say you have Facebook ads and you have some analytics in some data in Facebook. Then you have, let's say, SEO campaigns and some analytics is in Google Analytics. Then you're doing chat and you have a CRM. And so across all of those platforms, there are pieces of data, but it's very hard to get a holistical overview on your business if you have to log in into 5 different platforms just to see how, if a user came in through Facebook and then if he reads your email campaign or if he didn't, or if your sales guy talked to the user. So it's better to have a single source of data, or at least try to be as close as this as possible. And that's why you have to integrate different things so that all of this data goes to one place, and also that you command your business from one place, and you can say, okay, to this user now I want to lead the conversation on chat. With this user is engaging with us via email, so that's why we will lead the conversation on email, and so on. So the integrations are important so that you can manage your user, but also that you can get a holistical overview of your business and getting all of the pieces, all of the data pieces at one place. And usually the CRM, at least for small business, the CRM should be that place, and all of the other platforms should somehow integrate with the CRM, because that's where you can really take a look at specific client, or when you can get out the specific segment of like top clients or clients you didn't close but you should close, and so on. And so the integrations, how you do the integrations is basically just more or less either there are pre-prepared integrations and you just click something, or you do it via API. And usually those big platforms, they have prepared ways for how to do it, like how you export data or how you should receive data. You can get samples, and usually everything is very well documented, so it's not that painful as it might look from above. So it's not like rocket science or something. You just have to have some time and some testing, and you can easily get all of your data in one place.
So it's funny. So it comes back to data, right? And understanding the data. But as we're talking about chat and Facebook ads and websites and email campaigns, it's no longer just, do you got a guy that can do Facebook ads for us, right? Or do you got a guy that does Google ads for us? We're seeing a recent trend when I'm talking to these other entrepreneurs is that it's really important to have somebody either inside your company that understands these technology ecosystems, or if you're going to get an agency to help you on the digital front, to not just acquire an agency that does only Facebook ads or only YouTube ads. You really need somebody to almost be what used to be called the CTO, or Chief Technology Officer, but it's really just a guy or a gal in your company that knows how to piece all these things together, right? So what do you think about that? Do you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I completely, I mean, in a way, I completely agree. So, because I think, so even one step, if I take even one more step back, when you say about a certain company and you say there is a marketing department or there is a development department or I don't know, call center, that's just how you divide things in your head. But in reality, it's only one company. It's one entity, right? Everything is connected to everything. So like it's I mean, marketers usually are joking about or discussing where the marketing job, where the marketing starts. It's when you want to sell the product or when you are developing the product. And I think it's when you are already developing a product, you should already think how you will sell, what are the value propositions, which features you need that you will be able to sell it, and so on. So in the same way, it's everything is connected to everything. And if you have a dedicated agency just for Facebook ads, you have to be great in communication. So you have to have them in the right place. So it's very hard to understand. They have to understand which piece are they responsible for. And nowadays you need to have if you're going this way as it used to be maybe 10 years ago, you end up with 15 agencies, one for email, one for Facebook, one for Google, one for, I don't know, integrations, the chat, uh, and that's why it's usually easier to, or you need someone who is above this and understands your business in depth. And also um, I think you need, as a company, you need a way how you can shut things off. I think that's also very important. And if you have a dedicated agency just for Facebook, they will always tell you you need Facebook or Google or email. They won't never say, okay, I don't think Facebook is important at this moment, because then they are actually cutting themselves off.
That's true, because they'd be biased, right? If you segmented and had specialists in every area would be self-interested. Whereas if you had either an internal person that managed everything, or a team internally, or you had an outsourced team do it, they would do the best thing for the company as opposed to the best thing for themselves, right? And I think businesses need to be able to make these decisions on the fly. They need to be able to be versatile, right? Facebook isn't working right now. It's Christmas time and everybody's pumping on Facebook, so we need to switch to email, right? Cost per acquisition is going up during political season. We need to switch over here, right? But if you don't have somebody in your company or an agency that is overviewing the whole thing, it's very hard to make that change, I think.
That's from management perspective. And before, you also mentioned from technology perspective, which is also um, becoming an issue because there are so many different solutions. So it's not just to have, I mean, choosing a certain solution, like which client will you use for email. I think it's it's becoming very complicated how you choose those kind of tools, because you need a tool that integrates with your environment. And that's another issue, because a lot of times you get, so I mean that's naturally how it is. So like, I'm good at something, and usually this is connected with certain tool. Like, I'm good at email marketing with Klaviyo. Maybe I also can do MailChimp, but Active Campaign, I don't know, because it's a different tool. uh, and if you are not careful, you end up with 25 different tools which are poorly connected, or are sometimes are not even possible to integrate among themselves, so those tools. And that you end up with it's a technology issues when you have to, maybe you don't spend that much on the tools, but in the long run you spend a lot on developers, and that's a cost. You have to it's hard to, how to estimate those costs, and also how much time and energy is then spent on just figuring out how you will connect everything. So having a guy or an agency, I would advise internal guy if possible, that has overview of your technology and knows which tools you will go well with your current tech stack. It's, in my opinion, it's crucial, because you can easily spend several $1,000s on something just because you picked up the wrong tool. Because with
Just paying the developer to develop that, right?
Yeah. And 10 years ago, maybe you didn't have a choice. There were just one or two tools for something. But nowadays, whatever you would like, there are at least 20 tools. So you just, it's a huge difference. Even though the functionalities and features are the same, and more or less everyone offers the same features nowadays, uh, it's very important. So how the thing is made, how you will integrate those things, as you mentioned before, that's very important. And the CTO or I don't know, growth hacker or a position like this should have overview and should understand how different tools will fit in to current tech stack.
So, as we wrap up this podcast, I want to talk about some of the favorite tools that you like. I know that every different industry might have a specific CRM that's unique to them, or they have a friend that owns a CRM, or they like this tool for this reason. Maybe it's just a legacy tool that they've been using for years and haven't changed, right? Like some people are still using MailChimp. We use MailChimp, but maybe that's not the right tool. Can you give some of our listeners any recommendations on some tools that you like in the technologies we've been talking about?
Yeah, definitely. So it's so some of the tools that I definitely like are so I like Google Stack in general. I think Google is so Google Workspace. It's great for small entrepreneurs, and you have a bunch of stuff in there that you can use, like from cloud to analytics, AdWords, everything goes together. Search Console. So that's something in digital marketing. I can't imagine that you can go without it. And it's so, even though everyone has it, I'm still impressed how everything is really well connected and integrated. And then we use ClickUp. That's a tool for task management, where you can also time track your team, and you can have like Gantt chart and different calendar views and different projects and tasks. So I think that's also one of my favorite tools. And then for integrations, so for analytics, we like Mixpanel and Posthoc. Mixpanel is more advanced, and let's say it's for big guys, and Posthoc, it's like a new tool, but it's self-hosted, and it has some great APIs for getting out the data, and you can then play with this data on your own. So I think those are very cool analytical tools. Zapier probably is a very cool tool for small businesses, because it enables you to integrate stuff without any coding. There is a lot of so-called zaps, and you can get, like, I don't know, new signups from your page into mailing systems like MailChimp or MailerLite, and then do something with them. So I think those are cool tools. What else? Segment is also it's also a cool tool for SaaS businesses. So if you have an app, you can so it's like a layer above the app, and so you get the data from the app to the segment, and then from the segment you can get those so-called triggers into a bunch of different services, like, I don't know, Intercom for messaging, Klaviyo for emails, CRM, whatever you would like to. So it's like a layer between the product and the communication, and it's they have a bunch of integrations, so it's very easy to do the setup and then to do more advanced flows.
Would you recommend iSoftpull for credit?
Yeah, iSoftpull for everyone who would like to pre-qualify the customers, especially especially if you are searching for the top niche for the people with money. I think you need iSoftpull, because you won't spend you will cut your time spent on bad clients and on bad deals. So yeah, I really like SoftPull. I
All
mean,
right.
we don't use it, but we see how your clients are using it, and yeah, it's I'm impressed, definitely.
Yeah, I think that, we talk about these integrations and we talk about these leads, and a little self-promotion here. When a lead comes in and you're about to kick off all these workflows and kick off all these efficiencies, our API allows you to segment your leads based on credit. So just a little self-promotion there. And as we wrap this up,
Sorry, just one more thing. So especially if like you are searching for or a certain niche, and with the US, which is kind of unlimited market, and you have some cheap techniques on like Facebook ads or even YouTube lead ads and so on, you can really quickly get a bunch of contacts, a bunch of leads, like hundreds. And with a tool like iSoftpull, you can then segment those 1,000 leads into 50, but those 50 are like top of the top leads you are searching for. I think that's the aim, because you can target broad, but then extract like the juicy part out of it, just like this.
I like it. That's a good. I need to get you on the sales phone over here, man. All right. So, giving somebody a recommendation moving forward, maybe they're just getting into the tech space, maybe they're an entrepreneur, um, but they're not tech savvy, right? They might be an entrepreneur, a loan officer, they're in solar, they might be a dentist, and they know that they need to get these technologies integrated. What's their first step? Where should they go? Let's leave our listeners with that. If you're just getting into the tech space, or you're a dentist and you're a solar guy, and you know you need to integrate everything, what should they do first?
Maybe from, I don't know if I can answer this because it's so everyone probably has a different way, but to me it's very helpful if I can quickly understand what they would like to do. Uh, so do they need more clients, or let's say they are dentists, they have an issue because a bunch of people are not showing off when they have a scheduled time.
It depends on the need, I guess. Right?
Yeah, but if there is an issue like those issues, so usually are with dentists, I know those issues are big issues. People are not showing up when they have a time, and you have to pay for the dentist, the office and everything, and nobody is there, so that's double loss. So a simple solution, uh, notifying a potential client 1 day before, 2 hours before, communicating like SMS or I don't know, Viber message or Messenger message, whatever, can uh, completely erase those missed terms. And also, in case that someone cannot came to the dentist, you can maybe quickly get someone else in by giving some discount to the potential users that are scheduled next week. You can just The automation can send out messages like, if you come in today or tomorrow, I have a free slot, you get a discount. And this is how you can make sure that you have all 12 or 15 hours, how much your office is operating full, always full with customers. So
That's a good point. I hadn't considered that for people with appointments and people who are maybe in the service industry where they only have so much time in the day and somebody cancels. How can you effectively rebook that spot through automation, right? So somebody cancels, and imagine you're a solar guy or, like you said, a dentist, and as soon as that cancellation happens, it sends out an email to people who might be interested in that slot, and you can give them a discount for coming in for that slot. That's great. All right, well, let's wrap up the show here. Tell our listeners how they can contact you at Goodish in the event that they want to get an agency that might help them with some of their technology.
so they can write me an email at franci@goodish.agency, or they can visit our page, and we offer a free 30 minutes call, like introduction call, so we can discuss their problem and we can see if we have a fit and if we can help them.
So that's goodish.agency, Goodish.agency. So it's not .com, it's Goodish.agency. That's a good one. I like that. Well, Franci, thank you so much for joining us here at the Main Course podcast. And I look forward to having you again, man. I think next time we should dive into like specific, go into detail into CRM, right? Or go into detail into one of these topics. I know we talked about, just a broad, holistic perspective of digital, right? But maybe in a couple months we'll have you back on and we'll dive into something more specific.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, and it was great. Looking forward for the next show, and wish everyone to have a good fortune luck with choosing integrations and tools.
All right, thanks for listening to the iSoftpull Main Course podcast. Make sure to subscribe, download, and connect with us. Our website is iSoftpull.com, and if you need soft credit checks for your business, we'd love to help you out. Cheers.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe to the Main Course for straight to the point business insights.